and I really do fear that we may be wasting a wild card, and Dan may have all the marbles in.
Hang on, let me just ring Pete Smith and ask him.
Okay, so good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to our Torbay Elite Fantasy Football podcast with myself, Mr. Daniel Ball. We've got Stephen Horsfield in London. Stephen, how are you?
Stephen, that's how my mum says Stephen. It's Steve-O, my friend. Good afternoon. Hello there.
And we've got the number one FPL player in our league at the moment, Mr. Jay Robinson. How are you, sir?
Hey Dan. Hey Steve.
Okay.
Hello everybody.
The king is here.
Stop it.
Yeah, free. So yeah, obviously we've had the international break with Euro Nations and the friendly games, and then we're back to Premier League this weekend. So we're going to be looking at the fixtures ahead. We're going to be talking all things wildcardy, because obviously when there's a bit of a break on the Premier League and with fixtures coming up, we kind of talk about wild cards. And we're also going to look as well how the international games may have affected the form of some key players and how they may transform that international side form into their club teams and how that can affect your FPL ranking. So we're going to start by talking wild cards, and I believe that Mr. Robertson has been feeling trigger happy with his wild card. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I let everybody know last week that I wildcarded. It's still a work in progress, but I'm pretty settled on my 11 at the moment that I want to field next week. A surprising bench option, though, at the moment.
Who's that?
Mitrovic.
I don't think it's surprising at all.
I don't know. Even away at City, I think that he might nick a goal.
And
the question is, Dan, let's get straight to it. Why have you, Jason, decided to wildcard? What is your thinking behind? Considering you're doing so well, why have you decided to wildcard?
I think I answered that last week, didn't I? I think
remind us again.
I think the main reason is that there is some fixtures coming up for Liverpool that are quite tricky. And the question that's on everyone's mind is, should you have 3 Liverpool players or look at getting rid of 1 or 2 of them and freeing up some funds for the likes of Hazard, David Silva, for example, which is another one. I think David Silva is a little bit below the radar at the moment. People have been bringing in the likes of Maddison. Obviously, there may be an injury doubt for Fraser. He was quite high on the list of transfers in as well. I think that people are trying to spread their funds around, and I'm not going to lie. I think that having Mane, Salah in the team does inhibit your other options on the field, and I think that I'm getting a more rounded balance to my team with the options that I've picked so far, and picking up a couple of price rises. Obviously, it's slowed down now. I'm hoping to pick up a few more before the game week begins. So, all being well, I could transfer in a couple of different players that I want once some price rises go up, especially if Mane goes up again.
Are you willing to reveal your 15 as it stands as of now?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got Patricio in goal with a back 3, starting 3 of Mendy, Holebas and Alonso. Hazard, Pedro, David Silva, Lucas Moura, Mane, Wilson and Aguero, with a bench of Mitrovic, Wan-Bissaka and Bennett. Obviously, that is as it stands at the moment.
Who's your goalkeeper substitute?
I didn't say that. Hammer still. I still think that he may be given his place back. I know Lossell has made a couple of errors, and Wagner's kind of hinted that he isn't amazingly overwhelmed with Lossell. I mean, I could be wrong, but I do look at Patricio's games. For 4.5, he's a solid goalkeeper. He's proved his worth internationally and domestically, and he's nailed on for Wolves. And Wolves have looked pretty damn good at the back at the moment. And I don't know. I just feel that with the way the team is at the moment, like I said, it's due to change. There is going to be changes that I probably will make before the game week begins. The biggest conflict that's going on in my mind at the moment is Mane out, Salah in.
The thing for me is that, as I said last week, I've decided to wildcard as well, and scarily, our teams are quite similar. Now, you're going with, as it stands, a 3-5-2, but are you giving yourself a benching headache with the fact that you've got Mitrovic, and who will you drop from your 5 midfielders when Mitrovic is in such good form? You see, my strategy has changed from a 3-5-2 to now I'm going with a 3-4-3, and I'll be happily reveal my team in a minute, but I just want to focus on your team. And obviously the fact that you've got rid of Salah and kept Mane, which is what I've done. What's the thinking behind this new formation and whatnot?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because I've literally 3-4-3 is something which I feel that I want to play. And I've been obviously got these 5 midfielders. I've kept Lucas Moura in because he had a price rise last week. He's maybe having another price rise as well before the next game week, which will mean I can sell him for 0.1 more, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Mane could well rise again. There's a chance of that. He may or may not. But yeah, to answer your question about a benching headache, yes, it is a benching headache. Having a cheapy midfielder as a 5th option and running with a 4 with a strike force of, say, Wilson, Aguero, and Mitrovic. Mitrovic is just looking amazing. Wilson's got some great fixtures. That's something which is running through my mind. And yeah, like Holebas, I could always downgrade Holebas. Obviously, I can downgrade Lucas Moura. There's rotation risks there. But again, I mean, Spurs have got some really juicy fixtures. Obviously, Son coming back. You know, he's going to want to get into the team, reduced minutes potentially for Lucas. But he did get Player of the Month, didn't he, last month, sorry. So yeah, it's.
So I mean, as it stands, you're going with 2 cheap strikers and obviously a premium Aguero. What are you considering possibly, as you've just said, really downgrading one of your strikers and then upgrading one of your midfielders to play a 3-5-2, or downgrade one of your midfielders to upgrade one of your strikers to make it a 3-4-3?
I'm more I mean, the value you're getting out of the 6 to 7 mil strikers at the moment, it's looking quite good. I mean, even like Zaha, he may be back this weekend. He's got some nice fixtures. But yeah, Wilson, he's done really well, and he's only got better fixtures coming up ahead. Mitrovic, okay, he's got a couple of tough fixtures, but for 6.7, is an absolute bargain, which means you can free up funds to have some pretty premium quality midfielders, like the likes of David Silva, Pedro. I know Pedro's going to be a placeholder for me anyway for a suspended Richarlison who returns game week 6. So just giving away everything, guys. You know, just.
I mean. I always find it really interesting hearing from top players as of the moment, which you are, and decided to wildcard just like me. And again, I'm going to alliterate this point. Me and Jason have not been speaking to each other until this very moment, and our teams are very, very similar. And I'll be more than happy to reveal the team as of now that I've chosen. I've kept predominantly, as you stated, for price rises, but there hasn't really been that many, barring Maddison and Lucas Moura. So my team in full is, I've decided to go with, as it stands, 2 rotating goalkeepers with Patrizio and Hennessy. However, I think I may stick with just the set and forget thing of keeping Patrizio and bringing in your player Hammer to give me extra cash. I'm going with Mendy and Alonso and Bowley as my 3 main defenders. I've then got the Bennett, Wan-Bissaka as your cheap playing 4 million defenders, despite the fact that they've got really good fixtures and they will be bringing in the points. Now, this is when I've changed. So I was doing a 3-5-2 with Aubameyang and Aguero as my front 2. I've now gone to a 3-4-3 because I think that the tide is going to be turning, into which I think the strikers are going to be getting us better value. So our midfield is Lucas Moura, Hazard, Maddison, Mane, and Huddersfield Billing, only because he's a cheap 4.5. He scored last game week, and just get him in for a 4.5 playing. My front 3, now this is almost certainly going to change because I've decided this year to really focus on fixtures, and one of the players is a bit of a rotation risk, and I'm sure Dan will be able to speak a bit more on this player in a minute. So I've gone with your mate Mitrovic. I couldn't agree more. His form is fantastic, and I think it'd be stupid not to get him in. Aguero, obvious reasons. It would be ridiculous for me to sell him. Now, this is the contentious one where I'm thinking, Steve-O, rotation risk here. However, form fixtures suggest keep him, and it's Dan's mate Lacazette. How do you feel about Lacazette, Dan? Is he going to start?
Well, as I said in the podcast last week, Lacazette was the man of the match away to Cardiff. He played really well. He obviously got an assist and they got the winning goal. The week before that, he came on against West Ham around the 60, 65 minute mark, and he played a big part in the second goal, which was actually an own goal from the West Ham defender. I mean, you say about our fixtures, I'm just looking at them now. Newcastle away, which isn't necessarily easy, but it's not, favourable-ish. We lost there last season, though. And then Everton home, Watford home, Fulham away, Leicester at home, Palace away, and then in November we've got Liverpool. So, like you say, the fixtures are decent. There are obviously no easy games in the Premier League, but they are decent. But the game against Cardiff, Lacazette and Aubameyang, that was the first time they played together in a competitive game this season. But you have to factor in the Europa League as well, and that comes into play. I think it's next week or the week after. Could be next week, actually. But I'm assuming that Welbeck will play in that, but that could be a bit of a, say if Lacazette's playing in the game on a Thursday and we play on a Sunday, there might be that risk of rotation because it's a very long competition. So there is a slight risk, but I can see why you've done it. So I reckon obviously Lacazette will start on Saturday, but slight risk.
What are your thoughts on me and Jason both dropping Salah?
I mean, obviously I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but I saw that Egypt beat Niger, I think it is, 6-0 in a World Cup. African Nations qualifier, whatever, African Nations qualifier. But the point being is that Salah missed 2 penalties. So whether or not he watched this podcast before his flight back to Egypt, he thought, Christ, Jay and Steve-O, they haven't got the confidence in me. Only Dan said he missed 2. It's quite extraordinary to miss 2 penalties in the game. But, I mean, once again, I got my little pictures here looking at the...
He also got 2 goals there, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got 2 goals and 2 assists, yes.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. He did get into the last World Cup. But anyway, going back to the club side of it, I mean, Tottenham away, Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Man City at home. So, because it's just so expensive, I reckon it could pay off for you, actually. Looking at those
I don't know what Jason thinks. I mean, we discussed Salah last week, and I just think that the fact that you save give or take the fact that, let's be honest here, we both bought in Hazard for Salah. That's pretty much the transfer we've done. That you're saving 2.5 million, which can be spent elsewhere on players, which can be a differential. Plus the fact that they're in a bit more better form. Like, I was listening to the Fantasy Scout podcast earlier on, and they were explaining how, to be honest with you, the returns that you're getting for a £13 million player just isn't good enough. And I think that, me personally, I think spreading the money a bit more across the team is probably more beneficial than keeping a player who's just going to get the same kind of returns as. Well, Lucas Moura has actually technically done better, for example. Mane, as we know, has done better. In my case, Maddison has been just plodding along. He's got an assist, a goal, but for 6.5 in their fixtures, it's really not. Just my opinion. I just don't think Salah's worth the hassle as it stands at the moment, unless he was to completely explode against Tottenham, which I don't. I mean, when we do our preview in a minute, I've got it down as a low-scoring 1-1 draw. But the point being is that I just don't think he's going to. I honestly don't think Salah is going to produce what we think he should be doing at 30 million and what he did last year. What do you think, Jason? Or are you worried you don't own him, basically?
I think with Salah is that there's two ways of looking at it. There's the fixtures and the form, and then if you count also the stats, that makes it three ways of looking at it. I think that when you watch the shoutcast, the Fantasy Football shoutcast. God, that's a tongue twist, isn't it? They also mentioned that that he's actually doing better this season than he was last season. He's I think got one assist more than last season at this stage. Mane's just doing really well, and he's taken the limelight away from Salah a little bit. And the worrying thing is that is he overperforming, and is he going to regress, and then is Salah going to maintain his stupid goal points per game average that he had last year? That is the threat. And he can explode. We all know that Salah can explode. He might not always get bonus points, but he might get the brace or a hat trick, against Spurs, and then everybody's singing from a whole different hymn sheet.
Wow. Going back to it, I'm actually just got my little pictures thing here. Obviously, key man for Liverpool, Salah, 36 games, 32 goals, 10 assists last season. And looking at the season as a whole, 2 goals, 2 assists for Egypt. Prior to that, he got the winner against Brighton. I'm pretty sure he did well against West Ham. I can't remember the exact specifics. I know he scored in that.
He got a goal.
He got a goal. Yeah, he got a goal. And then away to Crystal Palace, they won 2-0. He won the penalty and he got an assist. I believe it was from Mane. I'm sure Steve Andrews, watching this, would know the definite specifics of it. And he just had one game away to Leicester where he missed a chance from 8 yards out, whatever it was. And he literally, to me, it almost feels like he's not been superhuman, but he's still had an impact. And once again, as you said, it's the point of the fact that he is 13 million, and that.
And just to add to that point as well, for me, bizarrely, it's more the fear of the ownership of the amount of people. Now he's still at 50. I think he's still at 50% ownership. That's what scares me. But in reality, I look at a player like Hazard, who I've swapped him in for, and not only does he get you attacking returns, he's getting the bonus points as well. And really, I'm pretty confident not having Salah. Now, don't get me wrong. Whenever Liverpool score, it'll be a case of please don't be Salah, please don't be Salah, because I don't own him. But I'm also confident in the fact that at the moment, Hazard is the key man for Chelsea, and by all accounts, you'll be able to tell me more. He has been performing out of his skin. not only for club but also for country as well. And I think possibly, put my neck on the line, not quite, but Hazard could be the new Salah this year. And we've jumped on him now. And
yeah, what I was going to say is that I was looking beforehand. In the last 6 games for club and country, he's had attacking returns. He scored last week against, they played Iceland, they won 3-0, scored in that game. 4-0 against Scotland, scored in that game as well. And then prior to that, he's obviously done well for Chelsea. And it's a massive, massive boost for Chelsea. I think a lot of Chelsea fans would have probably expected him to move to Real Madrid, not Courtois. He's had all sorts of things to say since he's moved to Real Madrid. But looking at the fixtures ahead, we're looking at Cardiff obviously on the weekend, West Ham away, Liverpool tricky, Southampton away, Man United tricky, Burnley, Palace, Everton. So immediately the fixtures they're decent, you know, they're not easy but they're decent. And we all know that Hazard's got this form in him. He hasn't shown it so much over the last couple of seasons, but prior to that, he's had that explosive form. And the kind of attacking football that Sarri is getting Chelsea to play is only going to benefit those that own Hazard. So omens look fairly good, I'd say, based on that.
so just to
Hazard, the thing is, what I noticed with Hazard is he's always looking to pass the ball. He likes to assist a lot, especially when he runs into the box and he tries to play in like Morata. Whereas Salah is more of a direct player, is always looking to shoot. Out of the two, if you were to say to me, who do you think is going to score the most points at the next 5 game weeks, or certainly in the next 4 game weeks, I just got that horrible feeling that I'm going to be having egg on my face transferring out Salah. I just got that horrible feeling, and I don't want to. Don't get me wrong.
Do you think though that that's more based on, again, what I've just said regarding the fear of ownership rather than actually just thinking logically, which is, hold on a minute, you've got a player which costs X amount of money, which is cool, we get that, but he's not really returning that much.
It's
However,
like Kane, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's similar predicament to Harry Kane in a way. The value.
Not, yeah.
The value.
Yeah, and you've then got this fear of, oh God, he costs this amount of money, but hold on a minute, there are players that are actually outperforming him. I'd be stupid not to bring these players in, and that's what fantasy football, particularly this game's about, is bringing in the form players. And at the moment, just for me, there are players like Hazard who are actually performing better and are going to be getting me more returns as a differential as well than what Salah's just given me as it stands as of late. And to be honest, I'm actually quite confident that Salah won't do as well as what you're suggesting you're worried about.
Yeah, let's hope you're right.
Well, so do I, because me and you are doing well, and Dan, we're doing really, really well this season, especially yourself. And this is a big decision. And to be honest, I'm relatively confident. I mean, to conclude this, so for me personally, of the 15 players that I brought in on my wild card, I would say probably 12 or 13 I'm pretty much sticking with, give or take. With your 15, are you give or take sticking, or how many of those 15 are you probably going to keep or get rid of?
The question mark, well, for me, is Lucas Moura. And I could use that downgrade with the potential downgrade of another player like Holebas or a Pedro downgrade to enable Salah if I do get too scared by the deadline and crumble to the pressure of my own mind. But no, the players that I would look at possibly looking at transferring out would be rotation risk players. But again, it all goes to value, and like Pedro might only play like 25 minutes, but he's got that goal threat about him. And for 6.7, you know, if he gets a goal and assist.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was looking at a potential double up with dropping Maddison. At the moment, I've got 0.3 in the bank, and I was thinking, do I drop Maddison and bring in Pedro? Because Maddison time statistics, I think he only averages about 70 minutes a game. Now, admittedly, in that 70 minutes, he's got me a goal and he's got me an assist. But Pedro, for the amount of minutes that he's played, I mean, he's probably averaging about 45 minutes. I mean, he's made 2 substitute appearances and he's still scored in both those substitute appearances. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute, there's a player which actually costs maybe more than Maddison, but is getting better returns. And it goes back to that whole point of, who do you bring in? The form player that, yeah, he may be a rotation risk, but he's actually getting you more points than a player that's playing more minutes and only is really getting you an average of, you know, an assist a game or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Sorry, Dan, were you going to say something?
Well, no, all I was really going to say is obviously Pedro's the experienced player, isn't he? Just in football in general. Madison's like the new, he's 21 up-and-coming player. And Pedro's been making a career of doing that. Like, I remember Barcelona watching the game against Sevilla. It was like 5-4 to Barcelona in the Super Cup. And it was literally Pedro's last game for Barcelona. He came on, and within about 10 minutes, he scored. So he's kind of done that before, and it's his style of play. But Maddison, well, it's definitely a differential with potential. But
Vardy's back. Vardy's back. He's on set pieces.
Yeah. Make a big difference. So yeah, I mean, in terms of my situation, the wild card, I think it's that bit of life advice that I often give people.
Well, ironically, Dan, before the international break, me and Jason were in a perfectly fine position where we didn't really need to change our teams. You, on the other hand, you've been dropping rank. You've admitted yourself your team isn't that great, and yet you've held off the wild card. Do you want to tell us why?
Just that fear that it's a little bit early, and it's a little bit just because there's been what's felt like a really long break. To be fair, I'm actually looking forward to the FPL getting Premier League again, but whether it's a little bit, you know, a case of just sitting around waiting. I still feel. I mean, obviously I haven't made my transfers this week. I'll disclose that. But Zaha, Wilson, you know, I still feel that they're going to come good for me, even if I leave them in the team. It's just the whole thing about Edison. I wish I hadn't got him in. That's the one thing that's peeing me off a little bit. So I'm holding off it for now, but listening to you guys, almost like watching this podcast live, I may do a wild card tomorrow. So we'll be able to discuss that in greater depth next week.
Well, as you stated, Dan, I mean, we've just had the international break, and is there any players that have been highlighted to you where you think, actually, they've done really well for their teams, and they've got really good fixtures? Now, I asked Jason this last week, and I'm seriously considering. Now, this is a player that I'm thinking of reverting my wildcard to a 3-5-2, and that's actually bringing in Lukaku.
Yeah, Lukaku. I mean, obviously Belgium had a great World Cup, and they played Scotland last Friday. They beat them 4-0, but honestly, I think I would score against Scotland. And then they beat Iceland 3-0. So you got goals in both those games. And United's fixtures coming up. So
they're very good. They've got a good set of fixtures.
They've got Watford, West Ham, Newcastle. So the next 4, and as we kind of know from Lukaku, I mean, he had a good first season last year for United. He likes to batter these kind of, with no disrespect, smaller teams. So it could be a case of, as you say, people are playing their wild cards and they're actually looking, right, we want to get in more heavy hitting strikers, up the budget for the strikers. Lukaku could be, you know, an early overlooked option that's actually quite viable, I think. So Lukaku could do well. With Carlson, he got 2 goals for Brazil against El Salvador. He only played 54 minutes as well. And obviously Everton are back on this weekend.
He's still suspended though till after this weekend.
After this weekend?
Yeah, he's back for Arsenal.
No, okay. Well, hopefully he won't do well for that game. But obviously with Carlson, got 2 goals. And then a bit of a sort of off the radar one, so to speak, is Rondon. and he got 2 goals for his country in a 2-0 win, admittedly against Panama. We all know how easy they are to play against. But so yeah, Rondon, you know, he hasn't really kicked into life for Newcastle yet, but Newcastle's fixtures have been tough, and they're playing us on the weekends. But then, you know, that could be another one of these cheaper strikers. I mean, Rondon done reasonably well for West Brom in the past, and that's what got him the move to Newcastle. So that could be another one that could be a bit of a differential. But yeah, obviously we talked about Hazard. He did well in his 2 games. And then I suppose the obvious one is Rashford, isn't it? You know, he did well for England, got 2 goals in 2 games. But it's that conflict between, like, Sterling looks brilliant for Man City,
you know,
and not so great for another suspension. So maybe one for the future. But maybe, I don't know, Rashford could come in after his good form and do well. But in all honesty, I think he plays a lot better for England than he does for United. And maybe Rashford would be better to move to a team that plays more attacking football, maybe like an Arsenal or.
So, I mean, talking of, I think it's that time of the week where we will, I think we'll preview the weekend's games ahead, and of course we need to make sure that you mention your dead cert better weekend as well. I think that should be thing. So I think, yeah, as we've already discussed, the big game that kicks us off this weekend, Tottenham-Liverpool. How do you feel that will go, Dan? And Jason, if you want to chip in, then please do.
Probably head down to the pub to watch that on. To be fair, should be a interesting game to watch at Wembley. Tottenham have done really well, Liverpool done well. So I'm going to. Tottenham beat them 4-1 last season, but I'm going to go with a draw. But I'm going to go for a little bit more high scoring. I'm going to go for
2-2. Well, yes. I mean, funny enough, as we joke, but it's unfortunately true. Dan's having a bit of a nightmare this year when it comes to predictions because he still hasn't come up with one win for the game week yet. It's 2. The history has got 2 of them right, and I've got 1 for the weekend. Dan on 0 at the moment. So you may want to be listening to either the history or. So I mean, I'm personally going with a 1-1 draw myself, and that's exactly what the history suggests. I mean, Jason, do you have any thoughts on the Tottenham game? What the outcome could be?
I think Spurs are going to be a little bit apprehensive against Liverpool, even though they're at home. I don't think I can't see them going at Liverpool the way that teams should do to expose their defence. I can see it being quite high. I don't know. I think it's going to be a game of the counter attack, isn't it?
But Toby Alderweireld, I never pronounce his bloody name right. Toby at the back for Tottenham.
Alderweireld.
Yeah, you said, man. Yeah. I mean, him and the Tongan are playing for Belgium and they're playing for Tottenham together, and it's just clean sheets galore. And he makes a big difference in that game against United. He was like, bossing it at the back.
I reckon Liverpool might have enough in it to get a goal. And I think Spurs are most likely going to score. I can't see a clear winner though. I'm going to say one.
Ericsson got 2 goals for Denmark, so maybe he'll get a goal on Saturday. I don't know. Might be worth
I mean, going on to the next game, then it's your local team, Bournemouth, versus Leicester, and I'm personally going to be going with a Leicester away win. I just think they've just got better quality over Bournemouth. So yeah, I'm going with a 2-1 victory to Leicester.
Yeah. Tricky. Leicester have had a good start to the season, like you say. They've got that quality. Bournemouth, we've done well. Got that fight back into them and lost to Chelsea, but played well in that game. I think it's going to be a draw, and I'm going to go for 1-1.
Yeah, that's exactly what the history's going with. Yeah, Jason, what do you think?
I think this is going to be a surprise. I think Bournemouth are going to win 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. There we are. Quick and easy. I think possibly this next game could be Dan's dead cert. Although I think any team playing Cardiff is pretty much a dead cert to beat them. So yes, it's Chelsea at home to Cardiff, and I think it's going to be a a bit of fun for Chelsea, and I was tempted with 5 or 6, would you believe? But I've gone with a 4-0 victory to Chelsea.
You can't be going to Cardiff, mate. If you're going to be banned from that city the way you keep talking about them. You've got to watch out for their fans as well. So I reckon it will be 4-1 to Chelsea. Cardiff did play well against us, but our defence is crap. So yeah, I think Chelsea can have a bit of fun. 4-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah, that's actually what the history suggests. I mean, Jason, any thoughts on possibly captaining Hazard for this game?
How for this game against Cardiff? I'd be tempted to captain Morata if I had him.
Yeah. It's, could be one of those games which actually would probably has the best captaincy option in it. Like, you know, when every week whoever the top goal scorer is never the more popular captain picks. Is usually some random player like Callum Wilson or something. And this, like you said, this week could be Morata's week.
Morata's emergence as being an FPL option.
I think he's only 8.8 now, so I can't remember. But I mean, going on to possibly this week's Stevo's dire game of the game week, and it's Huddersfield versus Crystal Palace, and I'm going with an absolute. I was thinking 0-0, but the fact that both teams defensively, because Crystal Palace are without Tompkins, I think they'll concede, and I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be that dire game, but maybe just because I quite like to watch Palace. I don't know why. I think we've got some good attacking play. I'm hoping my mate Zaha can sort of repay my faith in him. I'm going to go. Huddersfield did all right. They drew away to Everton in the last game, so that was a good result for them. Big game this for Huddersfield, but I'm going to go for 2 Palace.
2-0?
2-1, sorry. I think Huddersfield will score because, like I said, Tompkins is out and he's big player.
Yeah, the history's going with a 1-0 victory to Crystal Palace there. So on to again, this is another game where I was thinking 5, maybe 6. It's Manchester City versus Fulham, and I think the most popular captain choice is going to be Aguero this weekend, and this potentially could have been where Cy Bellamy may have missed the boat and actually could have triple captain Aguero this week. So it's Man City Fulham. I'm going with a 4-0 victory.
Very confident. Fulham have played some pretty good football this season. They drew away to Brighton, obviously beat Burnley. Man. I think, yeah, like you said, I think Man City will be on song. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Man City, actually. They've been letting in a couple of goals against teams they shouldn't be. So, cool.
I mean, you were saying before, Jason, that you're worried that it may be one of those game weeks where when you bench Mitrovic, you'll actually score against one of the top clubs. I mean, are you confident in a lot of returns from Aguero and David Silva as it stands that you have at the moment?
Absolutely. David Silva looks amazing last game week. I am. I think Aguero is going to get plenty of chances against Fulham. I think Fulham will hit Man City on the counter-attack, possibly nick a goal as well. I'm thinking something maybe in the lines of 2-1.
Oh, a close game, you're thinking?
Yeah, I reckon 2-1. Yeah, 2-1 Man City.
Okay. Well, that's what I've got down for the next game in Arsenal's favour. They're away at Newcastle. So it's Newcastle versus Arsenal, and it's Dan's team, of course, Arsenal. I'm going to go with a close, tight 2-1 victory to Arsenal.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to support Arsenal. I keep saying we, the Cherries. But, yeah, we lost on last season. Finally got that win away to Cardiff. Bamiyang, Lacazette. I'm hoping Torreira plays as well because I think he gives us sort of balance in the midfield. Newcastle with a tough start. Yeah, I reckon 2-1. I reckon Newcastle will, like once again, maybe be a bit cautious. But yeah, 2-1 to the Arsenal. Come on.
I mean, the history's going with a 1-0 return, but I don't see that this week. I mean, Jason, do you think that Aubameyang may be able to... I mean, he kick-started his season last week, but maybe actually punish Newcastle this weekend?
I think Lacazette's going to be the one that's going to be involved in the majority of the threats to goal. I think Lacazette after this game week could be the key man to get in for Arsenal.
Interesting. Well, that bleeds me with confidence, I can assure you, Evan. Cool. So we're going to go on to Watford versus Jason's team, Man United. I think United are playing a team which, let's be honest here, in very good form. But I think United will just edge it, and I think they'll get a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, it's the evening kickoff, isn't it? Maybe you can potentially watch that. So I think obviously Watford have started the season really well. I don't know if I'm right in saying they beat United last year at Liquid Trail. I don't remember exactly, but
they did.
Yeah, they did. I think there's going to be more misery for United. I think it will be 2-1 to Watford.
What do you think about that, Jace?
Well, with United at the moment, it's all over the place. I think I'm not worried about our attack. I think our attack is our options in attack are still quite good, and I like the look of Lukaku, Lingard. It's just we just don't know what defence are going to turn up, and it was literally like a circus last week or the week before. I'm going to say that Watford have got a goal or two in this game. I feel they've got some brilliant, talented players, and Deeney looks like he can score in every match at the moment. He just has this. He's like a new player, isn't he?
And he's also got apparently a good record. He scored in the last 3 games against you guys as well.
Yeah, and I just think that it's going to be one of those games where I can see it being like 2-2.
Wow. And isn't it funny as well, last week I was saying about looking at Man United's fixtures and do you think Lukaku and Shaw are good things? And of course, Shaw goes off with a head injury. Do you know of any news of him playing? Apparently he's not. Apparently he'll be ruled out for this game week.
7-day is I think they call it a concussion. There's a 7-day precautionary time limit before you can play again. And I think it takes it to 6 days.
Right, okay.
I think it's tragic what happened to Luke Shaw. It was really, the guy's just got no luck. And he's been I would say he's been United's best player this season. I love watching Luke Shaw. He seems to be a whole new left back. And he's living up to the potential that, from when we signed him all those seasons ago.
He's actually somebody I was a bit... Again, based on the fact that he's injured, I'm not going to be bringing him in. But he was genuinely somebody that I was thinking, could the new back 3 be Mendy, Alonso, and Luke Shaw replacing
Absolutely.
him?
He was in my plans to transfer in this week. Because out of all the United players, he's the one that shone the brightest for me. So yes. I was really gutted when I saw that he got injured, and I didn't actually watch the England game. But I saw a GIF on Twitter almost instantly after it happened, and he got absolutely just knocked out, didn't he?
Ironically, as you're saying about this, he actually got a really good assist in that game for Rashford as well. With the ball for the goal, there was a lot. The game stopped. It felt like for 5 or 6 minutes. We've got to take the precautions. So when I was watching it, I was just feeling like, I'm not a United fan or whatever, but obviously an England fan. But you still feel like the guys had no luck. But at least it's not as bad as initially feared. And I'll always have a bit of a soft spot for him for that goal against Leicester when I got him in for 5 minutes.
The way he hit the ground, though, the way he hit the ground, he's lucky he hasn't damaged his neck or something like that. It was.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. And it's just a shame because that's him getting back into the United team, back into the England team, and then.
I know.
But let's hope obviously Luke Shaw returns back to full fitness. It seems like he will.
Well, excuse this pun where Shaw's lights were knocked out. Dan, you may want to turn on your light because you're just virtually a black screen. And talking of a new dawn of light, it's on to my team Burnley, where I believe, he's back.
Halloween.
I believe this new light will be finally ignited, so to speak, and it's Wolves versus Burnley. I really was looking at a 0-0, 1-0 either way. I think it's going to be one. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go with 1-1.
Yeah, it's about time. I think the international break came at a good time for Burnley, to be fair. Stating the obvious, Tarkowski played on Tuesday, had a few dodgy moments, but he gets a clean sheet, so it's all right. But yeah, Wolves have been on really good form this season. I'm afraid I only see Wolves carrying that on.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Burnley, now they've had the time to regroup. It's hard. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Wolves. So, yeah, sorry. But the former University City.
I'm going to go with Patricio 9 saves, clean sheet.
we won't even have 9 shots on goal, let alone the save points. My goodness, I'll take that.
And then and then Jimenez to get his goal.
Well, so you're going with a 1-0 victory, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't exactly the most inspiring Sunday afternoon football. So on to the second game of that day, it's Everton versus West Ham. I think Everton, based on West Ham's form at the moment, I think they'll just edge it. But I was thinking 1-1, but I'm going to go with an Everton victory of 2-1 here.
Yeah, West Ham have had a pretty piss poor start to the season, excuse my French. Having spent just over 100 million, new manager Pellegrini, ex-Premier League winning manager as well with pedigree, of course. So West Ham fans are starting to get a bit, they lost to Wolves at home last time out, and no Carlton for Everton. So it's got to turn for West Ham at some point. And I'm saying all this, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Actually,
I mean, Jason, we were mentioning about players that we fear playing, i.e., Lucas Moura when he plays for Tottenham. So, do you fear that the Walcott 1 week punt that we've now got rid of is he going to haunt us in this game? He probably will.
He's got every chance to. Everton are looking quite good attacking, and he was unlucky to go off in the second half with a rib injury of all things. I think he's got all chances of getting a goal in that game. I think that West Ham. I think it's going to be a bit of a goal fest. I'm going to go 3-2 to West Ham.
Wow, there we have it. 3-2. The history's going with funny enough, the history is goals galore as well, and it just edges in Everton's favour of a 2-1 victory. But they're looking at the history. There's a lot of goals between these. Now, on to the Monday night game. It's Southampton-Brighton, and now this is the game where I'm like, I know exactly who's going to score it. It's going to be Danny Ings in a 1-0 victory, but I'm going to go with a 1-1. But I was tempted with a 1-0 Southampton. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-1 for this game.
Yeah, I mean, they call it a sort of East Coast derby, but it's not going to be. I mean, obviously, Southampton fought the real derby in that part of the world. But Brighton have done fairly well. Southampton picked it up a little bit. They got a great win away to Palace. Obviously, Danny Ings scoring in that game. I think Southampton will still have a confidence from that, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. Southampton. Danny Ings will score all 3 goals. I don't know why I said that. It's late in the day.
You got Danny Ings in by any chance, Dan?
No comment.
I was funny enough though. If Danny Ings hadn't risen in price, I was genuinely thinking of having him as my third striker. But it's just the fact that he's 5.6, and it's just too expensive. I don't know why.
Can't play in game week 6 either. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's another factor as well. But yeah, I mean, now that's the end of the preview. There, are we looking at those fixtures and everything? Are you confident in who you're going to be captaining, Jason? I think it's pretty obvious who it's going to be. It's either going to be Aguero or Hazard. I reckon you're probably going to go with Aguero like myself.
Well, depends if I want to take a bit of a risk or not, really. Safety says Aguero, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you got to have a bit of fun in this game, haven't you?
Well, what I will say is, are you and I wasting our wild card? The book by David Wardale of the Fantasy Football Scoutcast, and I really do fear that we may be wasting our wild card, and Dan may have all the marbles in. All
Hang
the
on, let me just ring Pete Smith and ask him.
Are we promoting stuff on this podcast now? Are you getting paid to promote this now that we're on YouTube?
To be fair, I mean, I'll do a quick mini review, and I'm a bit. If I'm honest, I'm going to do. I'll do an official review when I finally finish it on the Fantasy Scout site itself. I mean, there's 250 odd pages, and I'm at 156 pages. And to be honest, I'm quite disappointed with it. It's not what I expected. So, I was expecting more anecdotal stories.
I don't know if what's more better value for money, that book or Jay Eggersdorf's masterclass.
I don't like doing on. It's like funny enough, though. I mean, that's a question. Do you actually pay for the Fantasy Scout site because you mentioned about the heat maps, or do you just do the free membership?
No comment.
No, fair enough. I mean, I will happily say that I personally don't pay for it myself. I'm happily free because I think there's a lot of information out there which you can get for free, which the Fantasy Scout doesn't really offer extra value. However, I'm fully aware that for $12.99, I think they charge before the season starts, just to support the site alone. I think But again, we're not any advocates, whatever you want to call it, guys of Fantasy Scout. Anyway, that's beside the point.
There are other fantasy football websites available and other fantasy football websites, and you can get the stuff.
Oh, Dan, sorry, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Before we go, who is your dead cert bet this weekend? Who's it going to go?
Yeah.
Who's your £7.11 going on?
The two games is a toss up between Chelsea Cardiff, man. It's got to be.
I'm really surprised you said that, Dan.
Are you? No, I can tell you not. I mean, what, Matt? You think Cardiff's going to get a result at Chelsea?
Stranger things have happened, Dan. But
I wasn't. Yeah, I'm not that surprised you said it.
There we have it, Dan.
Man City, Fulham's the other one, but Fulham have actually acquitted themselves well this season. So I think Man City will win, but Fulham are better than Cardiff, basically.
Funny enough, I mean, I actually, even though I kind of said I was a bit surprised at Jason's prediction, you know what? I actually think maybe Fulham may get something at Man City, maybe a draw. I don't know why, just something about them.
What you're saying is I should have Mitrovic definitely starting, and then I have to choose who. Then I need to choose either Wilson or Mora or Pedro to bench.
I mean, I know we're kind of coming to the end of the podcast itself, but it's an interesting dilemma for yourself because I've personally, like I said, I've taken the thought of, you know what, I'd rather have just a starting 11 that I'm really, really happy with without having to worry about a benching headache than having to do what you're thinking about now.
You know what the quick solution for me, though? You know what the quick solution for me, though, is, don't you? Getting Salah back in.
Yeah.
And then I could just have benches of cheapies then. I don't have to worry about anything. It's just that all that extra money has just gone to my head and I've just spread it out way too much. But we'll wait and see. Saturday's going to be interesting, put it that way.
Yeah, I'm glad it's a 12:30 kickoff because that means I get to see the team or your team especially at 5 minutes past 12. I'll be on there going, who'll he pick? And it's going to be really, really enjoyable that afternoon.
And that's it. So that's the podcast complete for this week round. If you've got any proper questions, shall I say, for the next one, please let us know. And yeah, enjoy the Premier League back on this weekend. Be interested if anyone else has done their wildcard, any thoughts, any comments, and have a good one.
Do we say who before we stop? One of us to say one differential this game week that's going to score big.
Ooh, it's going to be. It'll be someone from. As we expected. I mean, you've caught us off there, Jace. That's the topic. I mean, let's look at the fixtures here.
Have a look at the fixtures.
I'll tell you who. I'll tell you who. Probably Lukaku. He's not owned that much. He likes playing these, as Dan's already alluded to. He's a bit of a flat track bully, and I generally think that Lukaku may be the man to be that differential, and he could be the guy which people are going to be talking about to get in ahead of. Let's just say, for example, Aguero was to blank, which there's a chance, and Lukaku goes and scores a brace. There is going to be that talking point of, who should we have instead? Lukaku's got great fixtures versus Aguero, who's a rotation risk. Who do you think, though, Jace, is a differential?
It's going to be Dan. I think Dan's team Arsenal's going to be in with the goals this game week. I think that Newcastle are going to try their best to shut up shop, and they're going to leak in a few goals. I think Mr. Lacker's going to get on a couple of, I think, two goals and assist maybe in that game.
Oh, so you reckon Arsenal are going to get a minimum of 3 goals?
I think on Lacazette. Lacazette is a good one this game week. Going to get put that in a video and keep it for everyone to remember. That is.
So I'm going to go for 2 actually, because I can really. Henrik Mkhitaryan, which seems to be a bit underwhelming this season so far, but I've got a feeling he may provide a differential. We've not really spoke about him. And is this a differential? I don't know really, but Zaha possibly again. Pictures looking good for Palace. Started the season reasonably well because he had the injury before, but those are mine. But yeah, as I say, that really is the end for the podcast now because I'm hungry. So thanks. It's an in here cup. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the weekend of football coming up. And we look forward to seeing you at a future date soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.